Hello and welcome to the Easy Publish Show number 21. And this is my co-host, Angry Che. So he's the Angry Bird and the head of Che Guevara. That's why Angry Che, if you were wondering. And this is the, like I said, Easy Publish Show with the episode dedicated to the Easy Publish version 5.4, which is going to be released very, very soon. We will learn when exactly. And of course, I have a guest who is the right man for that topic. He is a Chief Product and Marketing Officer of Easy Systems. So it seems like he invented a completely new acronym, which is a CPMO. So Roland, say hi.
Hi everybody. Oh, I have a guest too, but it's a PHP elephant, you call it.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I don't new acronym Evo, by the way. I saw quite a few there, but yeah, doesn't matter.
So you are not the first CPMO?
No.
Okay. Well, you were the first for me. Anyway. We also have some secret guest, which is sitting not on top of your right shoulder, but on right of you. We will introduce him a bit later. So let's start talking about the topic. Well, I don't know where to start, except what's new in the Easy Publish 5.4.
So I will probably need my special guest very soon. No, so there's a lot of new cool things, and I think maybe we should wait for a tweet with a good guess before I reveal my guest. No, well, it's not Philip for sure. So I will start with just having with me my guest, so we can both talk about that openly.
Hello.
Oh, that's the elephant. No, it's Andre.
Yeah, well, not really. He's still there. Helping out on the tough questions.
Yeah.
He's the third guest, and he's taking like Angry Shy takes the tough questions.
So we have as additional special guest star is Andre Romke, who is tech lead, or what's your acronym, Andre?
AR. VP Engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of new stuff coming in Easy 5.4, and with with already released community version, which should be almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I listed and checked several features. There are, of course, some improvements in general. There is some API improvements. There's a performance improvements. There's some helper improvements like the image aliasing. There is a lot of, let's say, technical stuff. We might just tackle a few of those, but what's your general kind of remark on what's with 5.4? What the end users or what are developers or partners getting with 5.4?
Well, from a high-level perspective, as you know, when we took the road to Easy 5 and we introduced this dual kernel architecture, and with this having in mind that we were building a platform which was embedding the legacy kernel, which we would use as a way to progressively have people jump from one architecture to another. Easy 5.4 was planned and is the last of the 5.x generation, which means one of our main focus, and that was already the case with 5.3, was to less and less depend on legacy and more on stuff that are made on the new architecture. So these definitely result in some quite technical features, or not necessarily technical, but also some features that are redoing things that were already there. So they are not, so to speak, new features, but they are replacements within the new stack. So there's a lot of things like this in 5.4. for instance, a lot of things related to how you deal with images, the I/O system. Maybe Andre, you can speak a little bit more of that. But this to say that focus number one was to shrink this dependency on the legacy system, so that this could be the last release which embed legacy in its core as a dual kernel release. Because next release we will do will be only on the new architecture, only Symfony based, and with a new UI which is made for that, and not the old UI.
Okay, I have a very important question at the moment, so I want to be as clear as possible. Are you 100% sure that this will be the last 5.x something release?
Yes.
I heard the delay.
Yeah,
Not really. I mean, well, what you can do, you know, you can delay with 6.0, of course, but basically, if you want to have this two versions cycled per year, so what we will expect is the 6.0 hitting the streets latest June, right?
Yeah, it's not. It won't. I don't think we'll call it 6.0. It's easy.
Okay, let's call it 6.0 just for the like a draft name.
The internal code name 6.0. Yeah, for sure. The kernel will probably have a version number 6.0 or something next year. So it's not completely wrong to talk about 6.0, but from a product perspective, and this is probably something he should talk about.
Yeah.
This is a new product, so you won't see in the blog post and so on so much talk about 6.0.
Yeah, it's really easy platform and Easy Studio, which are two products we introduced. And you're right about the target. Our target is to try to stay on this calendar very clearly. Of course, it's a target. I just want to say, of course, we still maintain 5.4, so there will be minor releases of 5.4. We just now want to totally focus our engineering on new features on a platform that would run only on the new stack. And actually, we are almost there, because Bertrand Dunogier, for instance, was doing speaks where he would show things that run only on the new platform, or we mostly miss the UI now. But we are, Andre was hesitating just for the fun of it, but we are very clear in that strategy. The date that you mentioned, June, is clearly our target. You can never say if it could be before or after, but that's what we target. Really.
That's the target for platform.
Yeah.
So it's a target for, let's say, the platform part, maybe not for the studio part, if I'm correct.
Maybe we will provide more information on this soon, but that we are looking to 2015, and we are looking at delivering the smaller scope as possible for this first version, very clearly. And honestly, we will soon give more information on the detailed roadmap for that. But
you can basically. So there's been already some blog posts. Roland has talked about the release model, where we will do the fast track releases for platform. So that's what you should anticipate first. You should anticipate incrementation of releases every 2 months. We start, of course, hopefully already early next year or first quarter. Maybe we will have an alpha, then we start to, later on we hit the betas, and then we hit what you refer to as 6.0, or the first stable platform, hopefully beginning of summer. But we plan to do them every 2 months. So it will be one of these. We're agile, so we need to pick the one that actually is stable. We cannot, yeah.
So if I've just understood it correctly, so the Easy platform, which will be the GPL version and the open source version, etc., let's say the part that everyone is building upon, is we'll still have, let's say, 2 major releases per year, hopefully, but it will also have more faster increments.
You're very wrong. Yeah.
Yes?
This is likely.
There is there will be, we change this, there will be one major release that commercially we will support on the long term, so that's why we call them LTS. And then we will be incremental release every 2 months. And this will be for platform and studio.
So we also, for paying customers, we also support the fast track releases when they hit stable. Of course, whenever we do alpha or this or something for some reason, then that won't be the case. But the fast track releases is supposed to be supported as well within their fast track. This is an option. You can also use this if you're, for instance, in the middle of development and nobody want to use an old 1-year-old enterprise release, for instance.
Okay, I'm asking you because this seems that maybe not every year, but every 2 years there's some change in numbering, in names, in cycles. So it's a bit, it's.
I understand, but I would disagree with that actually, because the 2 releases a year model has been there for a while. No, isn't it?
Yes.
Like 6 years or
Since 4.2.
Yeah.
4.1, 4.2. It's been.
Yeah, but for example, the community naming, for example, was changed in the meanwhile. So it's
that's actually a part of the same change back in 4.2 or something, where community maybe it didn't happen the same release, but around then also community was split up, and now we kind of merge it back in, sort of, kind of, but in a different way. So I would say there's 2 changes that happened on a high level. So it's back in 4.2, and now quite some releases later we do a new mix for the new one. Other changes that happened, we talked. It went from in the community, it went into a every 2 month release cycle, and basically this is what we align on for a platform.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there was this idea to have a community edition every month, and that kind of slowed down a bit to those per 2 months. So you are now, let's say, trying to sync, because it will be the same code base. You're trying to sync the enterprise platform part with the community part, or something like that. So.
Absolutely, that's totally correct.
Yeah. Okay. And for the studio part. It will be, of course, the commercial license, and regarding the cycles, it will be in sync with the platform, or it will be kind of living on its own.
We will definitely try to sync it, make it very more easier to grasp. So yeah, it will be in sync.
Okay, and just going back to 5.4 a bit, like you said, it's reducing the gap more and more regarding, the goal to have no legacy fallbacks. So with 5.4 there are some steps into that direction. For example, one quite important one was the images, for example, the image aliases, etc. And this was still heavily dependent on the legacy prior to this version. And you solved it in a way that I like it. Let's say that the model was to search for a good solution in the Symfony world, and then adopt it. Maybe make some pull requests for the used bundle. In this case, it was Leap image bundle. And are there any other kind of similar adoptions, let's say, in queue for the next release?
Well, we should, before we talk about InQ, there was in 5.4 also others. So we did the same with the fly system for IO handling, which actually IO handling is maybe not very not speaking so easily with people. What we should actually talk about is that 5.4 really finished the cluster implementation for the Symfony stack. As those that have followed this closely, I've seen maybe that first we split it out cache. So this was dealt with separately. So in the old cluster system, everything was in one system. Now we have cache in one. We spent a lot of time on that. View cache, which is not really cluster related, but still. And now in this release, we took care of like having a pure Symfony implementation of the file handling, so the I/O system. So cluster is now 100% Symfony based, and that was using file system underneath, so we can support S3 and so things like that in the future. Otherwise, there was also we switched to POS HTTP cache bundle. Jérôme did a lot of quite some nice contributions to them, and also they did quite some work on improving it beforehand, adapting some of the features we had already in Easy Publish, so we could actually make that move. So it's nice being part of the Symfony community. We give something, others give something. And that's a nice place to be.
Yeah, and in the same line, in the demo bundle, we integrate now more stuff like the KNP bundle that is doing menu management. I think it's KNP menu.
Yeah, and there was also a breadcrumb bundle. Yeah. I think that's from Vital probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's quite some bundles for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely one of the drivers why we adopted Symfony was, of course, it's a quality framework, but that's also to be part of, it's not the standard, but it's a standard. So I think it's good. It's to rely on something which is bigger than us, bigger than the Easy ecosystem, and to try to connect different ecosystems. I think I see a lot of value there. You can actually speak about it, and we can reverse, and we can ask questions how things are going. But I know you've been involved in a project integrating Cilius and Easy Publish, and that's the same story.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, it's really I'm really happy to see that, because I also see that Symfony community, of course, the members from who are maintaining those bundles, they are also quite positive in regards of getting some input and getting some work done on their bundles and then be used by some bigger, let's say, product like Easy. And that's something similar what we are trying to do, for example, with combining Easy with Cilius. But definitely a good thing from my point of view. What is still the big, let's say, the biggest or three biggest things that are still, let's say, falling back to legacy? And let's say the biggest one is obviously the editorial interface. What are the other two big ones to solve?
The main other one is Setup Wizard.
Indeed. And there are still then a lot of small things here and there, I would say, but nothing big. Like registration, for instance, is not fully symphonized. I don't know if we say symphonized, but
we actually did that in one project.
Good. Contribute. PR.
We need every contribution possible. I'm sure we can have a good.
I will tell you later who to talk to.
Okay. That sounds good. No, I don't see any other big part on the PHP level. Then of course there's which is another story, but there's the storage level. But on PHP level, I don't think so. Nothing huge.
Well, there's things like workflow and stuff like that, but we won't really have that in scope for the next 6 months. So you shouldn't expect to see too much of that in the June release.
And it's also something we want on purpose different. So we don't want to implement the same.
Yeah, definitely. I think that in the last 2 years of development, was enough information that we will, of course, not rebuild every feature. And for example, the shop, which was kind of, let's say, put aside for a couple of years, and it's really question of do you want to rewrite it or use something else? And there are plenty of similar, let's say, examples of that. So you need to focus and build what is the most important thing. So what you identify is, of course, the editorial interface. The second thing is the setup, the installation procedure, right? Mm-hmm. And a couple of smaller things. Mm-hmm. Some of the features like workflows will be left for maybe some 6.1, let's say it, or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's correct. But there are also changes we want to do, for instance, in the content repository, or you've been involved in discussions as well in the innovation board, as you're part of this too. So there are also things which are not yet in EasyPublish that we want. So yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, with the new stack and there are many new options that you can implement, let's say. But I was more into speaking about what is still missing because of all the current projects or clients that are used to features that we have already in legacy. So, for example, if I have a client that we implemented or someone implemented an EasyPublish instance, and we want to switch, let's say, and switch to new stack, not just upgrade and use the legacy, but we really want to switch to Symfony and Twig and API and everything else. What is, maybe there are still some features that they are using, and there will be no such features in 6.0. They might be in the future, and then we need to worry about them ourselves, let's say. We need to implement it in some way. Maybe also contribute back, but what's your stance on this?
I mean, I think we named the big one, and then, of course, there's all the custom extensions or third-party extensions that have been made that in your use case can be indeed a topic to solve.
But many of them can rather be solved by solutions in the Symfony ecosystem, or we actually already have more or less solved them in different ways within EasyPublish 5. So, yeah, like for instance, EasyJS core. That's kind of something you would use Symfony for now, for the controller part, and you have much more control over what you do. So you have one model to do this kind of thing, and it's Symfony. Yeah, and there's of course online editor that will come up again.
Yeah, which to me falls in the UI thing. But
yeah, so that's UI, so that's why we don't mention it. Mm. There's info collector. This you can quite easily now achieve with Symfony Forms.
But that's a good question, because in what way will be this implemented in EasyForms? Because EasyForms are then something that are not built on top of content model, because the collection, the info collector was built on top of the content model. How to solve this? What's your suggestion?
So, I mean, my suggestion is not part of the content model, but part of a specific, storage, independently from the content. And relying as much as possible, that would be my requirement to engineering team, relying as much as possible on the standard way to do this when you develop with Symfony. So, so if we can package things that are ready out of the box or integrated in the UI, we will do it. But the main drive is to be to allow developers to do something which is very standard and not bother them with something a little bit, specific and not as good as what we can find in usual Symfony development, basically.
Yeah, but you see that the thing is that in legacy you would create a form by creating a class with attributes which are, some of them are info collectors. And I already know for some time that you are not you are not intending to implement the collectors in the same fashion with the new stack.
Yeah.
But you know, if we are left to implement it in a Symfony Forms kind of way, then it's a bit more work to create one form, because you know it requires, you know, adding additional tables to the database, doctrine, etc., etc. So it's kind of a small step back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
It might be something we tackle down the road for sure, but it does have a lot of requirements on its own. If you go this way, you might want to think about it. There's a lot to think about, maybe from marketing here. You want to have feedback from these forms. You want to track it. Is that how you want to analyze it? You want to. So there's many. If you want to solve this problem in a good way, it's quite an epic.
Yeah.
And there's another way to look at this. Like, so clearly we will have we have some plan to build some form builders for Easy Studio, very clearly. But we don't have plan to build a generic form management tool like we intended with information collection. So we will have special use case that we want to deal within Easy Studio, and we want to have the technical foundation to do at the development level on Easy Platform. I don't foresee any UI to do generic form management because I have the impression form management depends a lot on different use cases.
Well, I understand that you know, to advanced, you need to, you know, let's say cut loose maybe something that is too difficult and too time consuming to refactor on the other side, which is maybe not the core. So you, in a way, you sacrifice this by focusing on maybe some more core stuff. So I definitely understand it. It's just what would be good from my perspective is to have, let's say, maybe a blog post or a tutorial or something where you can say, okay, this is a list of features that are not in plan to implement in the similar way. We suggest this or that, you know, just to ease up the transition, because otherwise people will obviously, you know, need to implement it in a different way via Symfony Forms or whatever, and then they will spend a lot of time re-implementing this, you know, maybe much more than anticipated.
No, that's a great idea. Absolutely, I'm totally with you on that. I totally agree. There are a few points where we see we don't want to tackle them as before. The other one is workflow that I have in mind. We clearly don't want to do it in the same way, especially because we were mixing different systems such as object states and the workflow system of Easy Publish legacy. And we also had new stuff such as signal and slots. So we don't want to do the same thing, basically.
Okay.
This could be communicated, or this is worth definitely sharing a lot of information on that.
No, okay. Well, I still have two actually questions which are a bit technical but also important, because I personally also don't know exactly what's the answer. On some questions I know. So the questions regarding search. So I know that we previously used Solr through EasyFind, and with the search service API, there is some new development. So what you can, let's say, share with us about where things are going. Are we still using Solr, or will it be supported, or will something else be supported? And when will this be, let's say, completely implemented?
Yeah, I can start, and maybe Andre will don't like what I say. I don't think so. I think we're pretty much in line. But from my perspective, we at some point experimented an Elasticsearch, and it was promising. So we had this idea to support both Solr and Elasticsearch, but we never decided to give up on Solr to move to Elasticsearch. So ideal case is we would support both. While our first exploration around Elasticsearch was really promising, we stumble across a few issues or difficulties, and we are not yet there with full support of it. So we will keep working on this because we've been spending some energy in this. We don't want to give up at all, I think, but it's not now there. And there's no plan that I know of about giving up on solar.
No. Okay. That was not clear to me. So, it doesn't make sense to invest in both. But obviously, both are. Solar is a bit older, but Elasticsearch is something that is quite, let's say, interesting in last 2 years. It really growed, and people are now start to use Elasticsearch very, in a volumes like Solar. So it is used. It's not something that is new.
Yeah.
It's so I agree with what he said. We haven't really decided on one or the other. We're doing research on both, so to say. The same thing I said during summer camp is still valid. We had some of the issues we encountered and kind of why we started to look into Elasticsearch, but it also turned out to be a great product, was that when we introduced the location search, we kind of made it very difficult for us to be able to index the content in a way that avoided us to index this several times. So to have to, as you maybe know, like neither Solar or Elasticsearch is relational databases. It's document-based. So the introduction of relation search has made things a bit more tricky for us. So we continue our research and starting to pick up.
Okay, and my last question would be about, which is something that's, I don't know how much is discussed already, but regarding the XML editor. So there is some news that you will switch the EasyXML format to DocBook. What's your take on that? I mean, is this something that, well, it's obviously related to the editorial interface. So will this come with the new editorial interface, or?
Yeah. So I think the backend discussion is almost done, or at least we absolutely know where we go, and the use of DocBook, as you said, there's no question about that. The question is more, what do we use as a front end then to edit this? And we are now exploring different ways to go. What I can say is that compared to the old online editor, which is definitely identified as one of the pain points for editors, we will definitely go in a way that simplifies things, that give less options when it comes to formatting and styling, and that switch a little bit some concepts. So maybe it will be less about providing a toolbar for the whole job, but more providing options for formatting different chunks within the DocBook, within the content, and this is what we are exploring now, to really know from a UX standpoint what we would like to do that would best fit all the use case we can have to provide, but also know what we can use in the back to make this possible, whether it is using the latest of TinyMC, which is also better than the old, that can also be customized, or some more advanced stuff. We know Aloha, Alloy, and different stuff.
But it's not just necessarily more advanced. We're seeing a clear trend on
simplifying.
Simplifying is a clear trend. You have this kind of editors like Sir Trevor, which editors video.
Yeah, Trevor, or the guys like what's the name? Living Docs.
So this is kind of a trend which plays to Easy's strengths, because it forces the editor to put content in a structured way, and this is exactly the sweet spot of Easy when it comes to dealing with content. So to structure it and
the other thing that I must add here is that we want also to integrate it in a way which is more homogeneous with the rest of the UI, whereas today online editor was having its own widgets for everything, which were not always consistent with the rest of the UI, and it was a weird experience in many cases. So we are simplifying, trying to make the experience of writing a story with Easy much enjoyable.
Yeah. I can definitely agree on the importance of this topic, and we at NetGain are quite interested in how this goes, and we might even try to contribute in that respect too. So, any closing words from you guys?
I have one, and you probably have one. As you might have noticed on 5.4, so technical note for me, we introduced Symfony 2.5 in 5.4 in this Polish chapter. We will probably try to backport a couple of things to 5.4 in the next half year. So if you adapt 5.4, you should expect to get new Symfony versions up until Symfony 2.7. And you should expect to see a preview of search. So yeah, so you have the choice between 5.3 and 5.4. 5.4 you will get more closer to what you will get in 5.4.
Okay, and Roland?
Yeah, I mean 5.4 is definitely. I think it's a very good idea to move to 5.4 in any case, whether you want to more quickly adopt the next generation or just you want to stick to legacy. When I'm asked, like, should I plan to move to 5.4 or not, I don't see any reason why not moving to 5.4, because there's nothing, there's not a big jump from 5.3 to 5.4. It will always be what we support first. It will be supported longer. So we tried basically to make the migration from 5.3 to 5.4 smooth, and we also think it will be the one which will be the easiest to use to the next generation. So it's a bridge, some sort of pivot. I would definitely recommend using it very soon.
I just remembered one thing. Someone mentioned this. I don't know exactly, or did I hear it? But there is an idea to once you go to the 6.0, let's say without the version without any legacy, you will still have the capability to run the composer and get the legacy kernel. Is that right, or did I hear something bad?
If it's technically feasible, that will be possible, yes.
But
yeah, but we will not offer support for legacy in this configuration. So you can do it, but then you should have a partner which is capable of handling that scenario.
Yeah, okay. So technically possible, but of course understand that once you are in 6.0, you support what is in 6.0 and not what is extra added, right?
Yeah, like and this will be technically feasible as long as we don't do big changes on the database. That's when we do that, this will not longer be possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but this is again something that will not come immediately. It will take again some time, and maybe we could call that one Easy Platform 7.0, right?
No, more like 1.2.
Yeah, we are insane. We both said no at the same time. That's what we want to do.
Okay, guys, thanks. Stay a bit longer, and I will now close this show. Yeah, we need to say bye to bye, and bye from Che. Bye. See you next very soon. We have the Easy Publish show in couple of days, not couple of days, in 10 days, maybe next month. So stay tuned. Tomorrow there will be some news. Bye.
Bye.